Thank you so much, Jim and Don and Speakers Pathway Coalition. And, I echo everything you just said. Wow, Judy, wonderful job, a beautiful message. And unfortunately, I get to follow you. But I'm very honored to be here. And I hope that my message, equally, my passion is that it would make a difference in your life. And so I'm honored to be with you today and to share that. So I'm 10 years old and I'm standing in my bedroom and I'm looking out my bedroom window and tears are literally streaming down my face as I watch the falling snow turn to rain again. With great sadness and my heart broken, I turn and I pick up a sheet of paper and I look at the sketches that I've drawn and I read the words I've written. And they simply say, when I grow up, I'm moving to the mountains of New York and building a resort. I smile through my tears and I say, someday, someday. Then I snap back to reality and I ask myself, how is it possible that something that was so important to me as a child that I would grow up to completely forget? How did this happen? I mean, is it meant to be this way? You know, childhood dreams are simply childish and they're meant to be packed up and, put away with the rest of our childhood things? Or is there something else going on here? As I said, my name is Wayne Stoner and I'm the founder of Destiny Expeditions. And I have been on a 20+ year quest seeking to understand and discover the answer to that question and many others. In the process of that quest, I have discovered what I consider to be two pivotal truths. The first one is this: I have become absolutely convinced that to be alive is to have a destiny, no exceptions. And the second thing is that I'm also convinced that most people that as adults, they turn away from that childhood sense of who they were meant to become and they never look back. What about you? What is your life like? Do you have a sense that your life is meant for something greater, that there's a greatness in you, that it's there, but you can't quite get it out? Maybe you feel a sense of frustration, that life is somehow, it feels like it's meant to be better. It's not that it's bad, but there's something critical missing. It's kind of like this nameless thing that's in your life, and it's there, but you don't know what to do with it. You don't even maybe know quite what it is. Or maybe you would say, no, I have a dream, but then I'm not 100% sure that it's the right dream. Or I lack the confidence that I could actually even do this. I mean, maybe it takes a lot of money. Maybe it takes someone smarter than I am. There's a whole list of reasons and maybe excuses that we come up with why we can't live this dream. I get it. Trust me, I've been there. But as I talk today, I would invite you to think about a couple things. I would invite you to think about, first of all, what were you like as a child? What kind of things did you love as a child? Sometimes it's hard for us to remember, depending on our circumstances, whether childhood was hard, and depending on what has happened between then. A lot of times we don't think about the details that much, but I would invite you, as I talk, to just give yourself permission to remember. And the second thing I would invite you to think about is, did I have a dream? Did I have a sense of what I was meant to become? Did I think about those things? Did I have a sense of when I grow up I wanted to do certain things? There was a movie, it's been made a while ago now, but it was called The Kid. And in this movie, this kid encounters himself as an adult, and he's horrified at who he has become. I mean, one of the things that I remember was this kid knew when he grew up he was going to have a dog. And as a man, he hated dogs. And he was like, how could I become someone that hates dogs? It was just devastating to him. Well, that paints a picture for us of what I think often is a reality. And I would invite you in this moment to be the kid again and allow yourself to remember. I want to ask you this question. What if those childhood dreams, the sense of who you're to become as an adult, those things that you thought that you were going to do as an adult, what if those things were not childhood fantasy, but were actually trail markers of your heart that were intended to reveal to you the reason that you were on this earth? Could it be that the nagging feeling that we experience inside, that there is a greatness there, or that nagging feeling that our life is meant to have more? Even often in the midst of living a good life, living a life that's doing good things, and often it's even making a difference, yet there remains this feeling that something critical is missing. Could it be that that feeling is actually the echo of your childhood dream inviting you to rediscover the reason you are alive? As I said in the beginning, I had a childhood dream. And as you figured out, I walked away from it. And here's the way it went down for me. When I was a kid, I loved three things. I loved more than that, but there were three things I really loved. One was snow. When we began, Jim asked me if we get a lot of snow here. And we do, by most people's standards, but for a snow lover, even here, there's times, especially this year, we didn't get a lot, that it's not enough. I've been accused of being a borderline obsessive snow lover, and it's not completely unfair. But the other thing that I loved was mountains. There was something about mountains. And the third thing, what I got really excited every time my parents had people come over to visit. And all three of those things, there was an emotion that I experienced. And as an adult, I would describe it this way. I came alive inside. I felt alive when I experienced those things. But as I grew up and became a bit older, then I realized, the childhood dream was just that. It's impossible. It's not meant to be. It was just a great little thing to give me something to think about as a child. And I walked away from it, and I became a responsible adult. And the further I got from that point in time when I made that decision, and it was a gradual decision, but there came a point where it was complete. The further I got from that time, the less I remembered it. And there came a point, I don't remember exactly when this happened, but there came a point looking back that I literally had completely forgotten it. I hadn't even remembered it was part of my story. It probably would have remained that way, except for a chapter of my life in which I experienced an extremely difficult time. The long story, don't have time for the details here, but the bottom line is this: I did not do what our previous speaker just talked about. I did not care for myself well. I invested in others rather than caring for myself first. And a whole lot of things came together at one time to bear in that moment of time, and I broke. I was down for the count, emotionally, spiritually, physically, and I didn't think I was going to make it. And if I did make it, I was pretty sure I didn't want to make it because I did not want to face the pain. But in the midst of that time, somehow in the midst of all that, I remembered my dream. At first, it was kind of like, oh yeah, that dream. That would have been nice, but that's a whole other chapter. But it began to bug me. I'm like, I never pursued it. I just assumed it was childish. I assumed I couldn't do it. I assumed a lot of things, and I never pursued it at all. And over time, it grew in me until I came to the point that I started to feel like, I should go for this. But what stopped me, by this point, I'm married. I have children. We're all very much grounded in the community. And it felt a combination of selfish for me to take my family away from all that and the impossible. You put it all together and I begin to back away from it. And it was not until I got to the place of discovering what I'm about to share with you that I got two things: the confidence to pursue it, because then I realized, that wasn't a childhood fantasy. That was my destiny. That's the way I made to serve my world. And then when I discovered what I'm about to share, it gave me the confidence that the means to carry it out actually lived within me. So In the next few minutes, I'm going to present to you a framework, what I now call the destiny framework. And there's 4 laws to that. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm not here to tell you you have to believe what I'm about to say. I am here to invite you to consider that it could possibly be true, and then to allow your life experience to begin to confirm whether it is. So the first thing that I discovered in the process of this journey of mine was I discovered that the universe is an expression of one life source. I have come to a place where I am absolutely convinced that there's only one source of life. I believe nature, I believe science, and I believe religion all points to that. And science calls that one life source energy. Religion calls it spirit or God. You can call it whatever works for where you're at in the journey. The point I want to make is I'm convinced that everything that has ever been, everything that is, and everything that ever will be finds its origin in one source of life. The second thing I discovered is that this source has what I call a one grand idea, or another way of saying this would be one cosmic story. Or if that doesn't work for you, a third way would be one grand master plan from which the entire universe flows. What this means is that the universe is deeply connected. Now, I'm not a scientist, so I'm not going to pretend to be one, but I do like science and I follow science, and I'm fascinated by what the new sciences are beginning to uncover. The quantum sciences and that type of thing, amazing things happen. They find ways to literally separate light and shoot it to far ends of the universe. And what they've discovered, if they do something to impact one of those the shot elements of light, it immediately occurs within the other. The universe is a very connected place. And what that means is that it flows from a place of design and order. This means that nothing is left to chance. Nothing. That brings me to the third thing I discovered, and that is this, that the universe and this one grand idea, or this cosmic story that encompasses everything, is governed by absolute laws. The idea is this, that the one source of life has this one grand idea, and to make sure that it all stays intact, there's these laws of absolute that govern every minute detail. Now, we're aware of this to some degree every time we pick up our cell phone. The next time you take a picture and create a digital file, put it in a text, send it to Aunt Sally on the other side of the globe, stop and realize the reason that works is that scientists and people who've studied these things have discovered how the universe works, and they built their technology on those laws. When you throw a light switch and your light comes on, you're utilizing the law of electricity. We're aware that there are things like this, but we often do not stop and realize that they are actually governing not only our lives, but the origin of our lives. So what this means is that our story, the story, is governed with mathematical certainty. And that brings me to the fourth one, where all this comes together for me. And that is this, that the role that is intended for every living thing within this grand one idea, this grand cosmic story, the role that each is intended to play is implanted within them in a seed. Now, if you look in nature, you will see that, that nature has a seed. A perfect example of this is the acorn. The next time you see an acorn, pick it up and look at it and say, this is a fully grown oak tree within this acorn. The acorn is the seed form of the fully grown oak tree. The point I would like to make to you is your dream is a fully grown destiny in seed form. This is why we have this feeling of greatness within us. And I have discovered that there are two simple questions that come out of this seed that if you answer it, that it will give you a good picture of what your destiny looks like, what your dream looks like. So let me quickly, because my time's about up here, but ask yourself this question: what do I authentically love? That's why I started with the thing about your childhood and what you love. My exercise that I would encourage you to take is to come up with 1 to 3 things that you have loved from your childhood through present, and write them down. The second question is, what problem do I hate that I would love to solve? What you will find is, and I don't like the word hate, but it gives you the good contrast. These are 2 paths, and where they intersect is where your dream lives. And the reason we can be so certain of this is because of the way the laws of the universe work. So let me ask you, what were you like as a child? Did you have a dream? Did you grow up with that sense of something that you wanted to become? And what did you do with those dreams? And how much of that shows up in your current life? When and why did you walk away from that dream? Now, COVID-19 might seem like a terrible time to bring all this up, but here's why I take the risk. I have discovered that when we align our life with destiny, impossible things begin to happen. And the reason for this is that destiny is never surprised. Destiny was not surprised by COVID-19, but your dreams appear in the world when your world needs them. It's a cold, crisp Adirondack morning, and the aroma of fresh coffee and pumpkin French toast fill the air. Soon the guest will arrive by a blazing fireplace and enjoy a delicious breakfast. I look through the window, see the fresh falling snow, and read the roadside sign that says Snow Goose Bed and Breakfast. And I smile as I realize I am finally living my childhood dream. And I want to conclude in this way. The next time you feel that nagging feeling, that quiet ache within, you feel that sense of, I'm meant for more greatness than this. Instead of feeling stuck, frustration, unsure of what to do, I want to invite you to stop and realize what you are hearing is the voice of your dream calling you from the summit of your heart. And like trail markers through the wilderness, they are there to lead you to the reason that you are on earth. Each one of those calls to you to consider the life that you are destined to live. All you need to do now is learn how to recognize them. Thank you so much for the honor of being with you. I hope that this, what I presented, is an encouragement to you. When you live from this type of framework, you begin to see that everybody comes from one place, and we are all brothers and sisters. And I love you. I believe in your dream. I believe in your destiny. And I am greatly honored to be able to spend this time with you today. Thank you.